Hi, welcome to another episode of Bethanie Talks About Stuff. I'm your host, Bethanie F. DeVores, author of the Cyberpunk Chronicles, available from Amazon. And today I'm going to give you my honest opinion and review of Cyberpunk Edgerunners from Netflix. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is an anime that is a direct tie-in to Cyberpunk 2077, which is a video game. If you've been watching my channel, you know I've done a review of Cyberpunk 2077, and I liked it. It is a game that has a lot of replay value, and I have a lot of information about the game specifically in that video. So if you're interested in that, please go take a look at that one on the channel. This, however, is about the anime. Now, I mentioned the game, of course, because it's a tie-in, but also because there's been kind of a crazy phenomenon that's happened with Cyberpunk Edgerunners and Cyberpunk 2077. So since the anime came out, the sales of Cyberpunk 2077 and the playing, like the stats of however many people are playing, has shot through the roof. It's a phenomenon I haven't seen before. Now, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I haven't seen it. And I am actually really happy for CD Projekt Red. That dismal launch, y'all. It was so bad. But I feel like they've done a lot of good to try to repair their reputation when it comes to this game. Several patches have come out, and it runs so much smoother now. Now, that's not to say there are no bugs. There definitely are. But it's way better now, and it's a lot of fun. And then recently, the 1.6 patch came out to tie into the anime, and it had, smoothed out a few more bugs. It added some new gigs and a couple more interesting features like transmog for the clothing, which allows you to keep your good stats with the gross looking clothing, but go into your wardrobe and put on some cool looking clothes. So if you go out looking like a hot mess or an idiot, you have chosen to do that as opposed to being stuck because of the stats. I personally have chosen to do that. So, because I have no taste when it comes to that. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and I watched the previews for the anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I thought it looked pretty good. Now, full disclosure, anime is not my typical genre. I don't really watch it. I've only watched a little bit once way back in college, and it was fine. And then I watched the anime that was related to Witcher on Netflix. And that was interesting, and I enjoyed it, but this is not my normal genre. So please take this review with a grain of salt, bearing that in mind. I don't have anything against the genre. It's just not one I've really enjoyed in the past. So there you go. Now you know. So let's get into Edgerunners and talk about that anime and what we've seen. So I watched the preview, and I'll share a little bit of that as I'm talking, the trailers, and I thought it looked different, interesting. I could see that some of it looked very much like the game, so that intrigued me. The basic story of the anime follows our protagonist, who is David Martinez. He's a teenager, and he goes to Arasaka Academy. But his family, which is him and his mother, basically, they're just dirt poor. It's pitiful. They are really poor. His mom is working herself to death to make sure he can continue to attend Arasaka Academy. He looks and seems like an older teenager. He's bullied at the academy. Things aren't going well there. And then in the first episode, his mother is killed in a car accident that results from some gang activity. So he's a very tragic and sad protagonist, very pitiful. In order to survive, David has this cyberware that he found from his mom's belongings. He has that cyberware implanted, and then he joins an Edgerunner crew in an effort to survive. Now, that's a very basic version of the plot. This anime is 10 episodes long, and each episode's about a half an hour, and it's a pretty quick view. So it was not hard to watch in the sense that it went pretty quick. But I have some feelings about this show, and it may not be the most popular opinion, but you're here for my opinion, so you might not agree with it, but I got to be honest about it.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So, pros. Let's talk about the pros. One of the pros that I really enjoyed was that the anime is a direct tie-in to the game. So when you're watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners, you are stepping into Night City. And I think that's really well done. It's really interesting. It's not just a tie-in that's inspired. It really is Night City. And you can see very familiar locations and graphics, and that is really cool. I liked that a lot. Some of the voice actors from the game returned for the anime, and that was also really cool and a lot of fun. So that was nice. The anime has very good storytelling. I enjoyed rooting for the protagonist. David was a likable character. You really felt sorry for him. At the same time, you were rooting for him. And he has great characteristics and a really good story arc from being kind of this pitiful, weak, lost puppy dog to being like a big dog. And that was really satisfying. My other and probably last pro for this anime is the music. I haven't really seen this done before, but they took music from the video game itself and implemented it into the anime pretty much throughout. There's some original music, but there's a lot of recognizable music from the video game to the anime, and I liked that. I mean, some people I think might see it kind of as a ripoff or a little bit lazy, but actually I thought it was well done. I thought it was a smart thing to do so that the gamers like me would enjoy hearing that, and where they used it made sense because it went along with kind of how you would have heard it and used it or seen it in Cyberpunk 2077. So again, well done. There was also one particular song that they used that is called I Really Want to Stay at Your House. And it's kind of a little poppy tune. I'll share a little bit of that. And it in the game, it's just kind of in the background. And you come across it here and there. And it's singable. It's an earworm. But in the anime, they really made great use of that song. It reminded me of Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin used in Thor Ragnarok. It was done well. And in fact, now when I'm playing the game and I hear that song, I'm like, feels, because it was used well. So I thought that was really smart, really interesting, because that kind of thing can go very wrong. Like, another hot take on my part, Just a Girl by No Doubt being used in Captain Marvel during that one of the final fight scenes. So cringe. It was so bad. I mean, it didn't suit the fight scene. It was just shoehorned in there. And I love that song, but it just didn't work. It didn't work. And it was, even when I was sitting in the theater watching that, I was like, I don't like this. So anyway, the music was well done. Now, the cons, in my opinion, are pretty significant. So, and this is where my hot take may be seen as bad.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
But I thought that the nudity and some of the scenes were just over the top and unnecessary. And it's actually hard to make a convincing argument to me for nudity in media pretty much at all. It's so rare that I don't think that it's unnecessary and gratuitous. And this is no exception. In fact, there are a couple of very brief, in fairness, they're very brief scenes that are basically porn used through this device called a brain dance, where the person can put in this pre-recorded video, and not only does you get to see the video, but they get to kind of experience whatever the person who recorded it experienced. And so, of course, it's being used for porn. I didn't need to see the porn that the user was seeing in order to know they were watching that. I mean, it was pretty obvious already. I didn't need that. I didn't need to see it. And then there are other parts in the show, in the series, that the characters just run around naked for almost no reason. And all of the net runners, when they do deep dives into the net and they have to get in these ice baths, that is about the only place where you can kind of make a case for it, because they have to keep their bodies cool while they're in that deep dive, or it'll fry their brain. And that is true to the game. That's the same thing in the game. But in the game, they're not naked, and the game has no compunction about people being naked. So I'm like, it really was gratuitous. It just was. It was just too much. So the nudity and those little snippets of pornography were just too much for me. It really was too much. And I hated that, because I was really enjoying the anime. And again, that's not my normal genre. So the fact that I was really enjoying it speaks volumes for the story, how good the story was and how well done it was. So that was unfortunate, and it was significant to me. And then the violence, I don't know why it hit so wrong, but it really hit me wrong. It was over the top. It was really graphic, and it was really gross. And while a lot of, I mean, I've watched some pretty violent movies and played violent games. It doesn't typically bother me, but for some reason, it just really hit me wrong in this show. Now, that's actually something I could kind of get over, but between the nudity and the violence, this is not a show I would watch again. Now, I will be completely transparent, and I will scratch at these bugs, evidently. I will be completely transparent and say I did watch it twice in an effort to have a good background to do this review. But I won't watch it again. That second viewing was pretty difficult for me to make it through. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't used to be like this. I will admit that I think that something as I get older bothers me more than it used to. I don't know why. I would actually think in some ways that you would get desensitized as you get older, but instead I think it's happening the other way for me. And I could be wrong. Maybe it is normal to get a little more bothered by those things. Maybe you get to be kind of a crotchety old fart. And I kind of am. I can't lie to you.
Get off my lawn.
I kind of am that way. Oh, well. So overall, the story was very good, but my the cons were overwhelming for me, and I won't be watching it again. So that's my honest review. And I hate that, because I really, really, really wanted to like it. And there are parts I really do like. So I won't say that I didn't like any of it, because I did. And in Cyberpunk 2077, you can now go get David's jacket. There's an actual objective to play through to get his jacket. And of course I've done that. I even created a whole transmog outfit to look like his. So I liked David Martinez, but those other problems were disappointing for me. So having said all that, I'm interested to know how you felt about Cyberpunk Edgerunners if you've watched it. If you haven't, does this give you enough pause to think maybe you won't? Or are you just thinking, wow, you're a crotchety old fart and I'm still going to watch it? Fair enough. I've just given you all the information I can so you can make an informed decision. So I'm interested as to what that decision is if you haven't watched it. Also, am just interested to how you feel about that. How do you feel about that much gore, violence, and nudity in a show? Do you think that it can be overdone, or do you think, oh, well, no big deal? I'm kind of curious to see what the average person thinks about that. So leave me a comment below. If you liked this video, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel. If you didn't like it, I'm glad that you stayed around this long, to quote Nerdrotic. I think that's actually a really nice thing that he says in all his videos. But hopefully, even if you didn't care for my opinion in this video, you'll check out some of my other videos. I may have an opinion for something else that you enjoy. You know, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff that you're supposed to do on the internets. And thanks for watching. That's it for now.